Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are visiting. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to be discussing popular fragrances that are worth the hype, and I've picked out 10 fragrances within my collection that I truly think deserve the hype. So if you like the sound of that, then please do keep on watching. The first fragrance is by Stephane Humbert Lucas, and this one is God of Fire. And I am guilty of hyping this one up myself. I do think this is such a phenomenal release from Stephane Humbert Lucas, and it had me enamored from the first sniff when I sampled it last year. Now this is a great scent all year round. However, I will definitely be reaching for this one the most in spring and summer. Why is this so hyped? Okay, I think because it's a mango scent done so well. For me, it's the best mango fragrance on the market, and I know that's a big thing to say, but this one has a beautiful complexity to it. So it's not just a sickly sweet mango fruity scent. This one is definitely complex, as I mentioned. It has mango, it has ginger, it has red berries, it has tonka bean, it has a little bit of oud, a little bit of musk, it has amber, it has woody notes. It is just the perfect mango combination in my opinion. The ginger gives it a great bit of bite up top, and then I love the red berry notes to counterbalance the sweetness and the kind of sour quality that the mango brings within this fragrance. It has an airiness to it, which is really hard to explain. A lot of people do compare this to Baccarat Rouge. It's not a comparison that I get myself. However, I can kind of understand that airiness quality and the sweet quality could maybe be why people perceive them a little bit similar. But if you're on the hunt for the most juicy mango-based fragrance that is complex, it has layers to it, then definitely check out God of Fire by Stephane Humbert Lucas. I have a detailed review on my channel of this one, and I'm sure if you type it into YouTube, you will see many other reviews. But yeah, God of Fire is 100% worth the hype for me anyway. And yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be reaching for it this spring and summer. Another fragrance that I am guilty of hyping up myself is by Sora, and this one is Mandorle. And I try not to talk about this one too much, but I just think it is absolutely incredible. Not only is the brand so aesthetically pleasing, I own 3 different ones and they just look really good stacked up together. They have different colored labels, so I can see which one is which by just seeing the top color on the lid. Let's get on to the juice though, because this is why it's hyped up. Now this is my gourmand dream. It's not too sickly sweet. It's not too edible. It's just the perfect balance between all of those gourmand notes that I dream of. It has caramel, it has cacao, it has rum, it has vanilla, it has tonka bean, it has a little bit of cherry. It is chef's kiss, so delicious. I truly think that Mandorle lives up to its hype because it is a complex fragrance. It takes you on a journey. So from the initial blast, you're going to get this almost cold sour cherry. I'm getting a lot of the tonka bean and a lot of the vanilla. And I do get that hit of rum. And when it starts to dry down, the magic really starts to happen and that caramel comes through. You got a teeny dusting of cacao, a little bit of woodiness, there's cashmere, and then you get the suede note too. I am not a huge lover of cherry in fragrances, but Mandorle is definitely in my top 2 when it comes to fragrances with a cherry note. But this is much more than just a cherry fragrance. I wouldn't even say it's cherry dominant as such. It is a perfect blend between those gorgeous gourmand notes. It just smells so addictive, and I can see why it got so much hype. So yeah, highly recommend Mandorle. I think it is such a fantastic creation from Dora. Next up is a very hyped fragrance, and it is by Initio, and this one is Oud for Greatness. Hands down, one of my favorite bottles. The gold detailing is just so intricate, and Oud for Greatness is an absolute powerhouse. This one projects to the highest heavens. Whenever my partner wears this, he will only do about 2-3 sprays. And when he initially sprays this, it's upstairs in our house and I can actually smell this all the way downstairs. This one will 100% leave a lasting impression. It has the most intoxicating trail. Now, one thing I will say is I don't reach for oud for greatness myself. I find it a little bit too overpowering for me personally. I do suffer with migraines. However, when I do reach for it, I will normally layer this one. However, on my partner, this is definitely one of my favorite fragrances. I think this is so sexy. I can absolutely see why it gets so much hype. And I really think you can't go wrong with this. It's absolutely unisex. Just because I don't reach for it myself doesn't mean that there aren't girls out there that can absolutely pull this off and rock it. And I know that so many other female YouTubers on here definitely wear oud for greatness. So don't let me put you off because this is 100% a 10 out of 10 fragrance. In essence, this is saffron, nutmeg, it's lavender and it's oud, and it is ultra sexy. This is oud done right. It's perfectly balanced. You get that beautiful saffron, you get the lavender, and I get a teeny bit of nutmeg. But in essence, I feel like this is one of the most mass appealing ouds on the market. And if you are looking to buy a gift for your loved one, then this would be such a great purchase. I actually purchased this for my partner because I knew I loved it and I knew it would smell amazing on him. So yeah, oud for greatness is one that is hyped and well worth that hype. Let's switch lanes a little bit and do a newer release. So the next fragrance I want to discuss is by Kayali, and this is Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli 64. And this one absolutely got so much hype when it was released later last year. And I definitely made a dedicated video on this too. And I do think this is one of Kayali's best fragrances that they've released. To me, this one smells the most niche. It smells very luxurious and it has incredible lasting power. This is a complex, sugary gourmand vanilla, but it has so much depth in there from that sugared patchouli. It also has some leather, it has some amber, and it has some oud. So it's not a light, easy wear like Kayali's Vanilla 28. This one is definitely a fragrance that stands tall on its own and does not need layering, in my opinion. Of course, you can layer it. However, I just think this is beautiful worn on its own. It has this gorgeous kind of almost burnt creme brulee note to my nose. The patchouli gives it so much depth. You have a little bit of rum and then you get a huge blast of that vanilla. I would highly recommend you sampling this one. I think it's well worth having in your collection if you like a complex vanilla. There's lots of reviews out there on YouTube, so I would recommend you go watch a few if you've never smelt this one. But in my opinion, Vanilla Royale by Kayali is worth the hype, and I think it's such a gorgeous release from Kayali. The next fragrance that got a lot of hype is Babycat. Babycat, Babycat, Babycat. A lot of people were talking about this one. A lot of people are still talking about this one. And I've been hearing rumors that it's discontinued. I'm not sure how true that is. If it is, that would be one of the biggest travesties ever, because I feel like Babycat is the best fragrance within the YSL's private collection, which is the Vestiaires collection. So, is this worth the hype? Yes, absolutely. It is incredible, especially if you like a complex vanilla. Similar to Kayali Vanilla Royale, but not similar in scent profile. They're just both complex vanillas. But I would say Babycat is a more suede, incensey vanilla fragrance. Now, I haven't found myself reaching for this one that much, even though I absolutely love the scent profile, because I have a lot of complex vanillas in my collection. It's a scent profile I absolutely enjoy. But with that being said, it's definitely worth the hype. When I initially smell this, I absolutely get a burst of saffron up top. Very prominent to my nose. And then the leathery kind of suede vibe comes through. I get an incensey vanilla and a little bit of black pepper. This is totally unisex, and if you can get your hands on it, I would highly recommend doing so. I truly hope this one isn't discontinued. It wouldn't make sense because it was always selling out. So yeah, YSL Babycat is worth the hype in my opinion. The next fragrance is by Room 1015 and it's Cherry Punk, and this is another one I've been guilty of hyping myself. You can see how much I love it by the dent in the bottle. And again, this is a cherry fragrance that I can get down with, and it's because it's not a super sweet cherry, it's definitely a more complex, sexy cherry fragrance. And when I compare something like Cherry Punk to other fragrances on the market, this one is a lot more affordable than something like Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. I'm not saying they smell the same, but if you want more bang for your buck, you want to smell very unique, then you definitely need to check out this one. To my nose, it is mostly a tart, dark red sour cherry with lots of leather, a healthy dose of saffron, and then lots of tonka bean. It is very sweet, but I feel like that leather gives this an edge to it, and it kind of gives it that cool, edgy vibe. And I can imagine someone wearing a leather jacket with this. If it's a female, she'd have red lipstick on, maybe smudged eyeliner, and she's a bit of a bad girl. And then I could also absolutely imagine men wearing this too. Same kind of vibe. They're a bit of a bad boy. I just think Cherry Punk is such a sexy fragrance. And this one isn't a new release. It's only started getting hype in the last 6 months, I would say. And I think it's because obviously 2022 was the year of the cherry fragrances, and people were out there looking for alternatives to some of the more popular ones. And Cherry Punk started getting some well-deserved love. So I absolutely think this one's worth the hype. I have just the 50ml size bottle here. Once I use this, I will get the 100ml bottle. But yeah, if you love a cherry dominant fragrance, but you want something a little bit more edgy and a little bit more sexy, then try Cherry Punk. Next up, we have Angel's Share by Kilian. And this one is worth so much of that hype. I think this is one of the most incredible fragrances. Again, it's one that I don't reach for to wear myself that often, but it's still in my top 10 fragrances for life. I think it's just a masterpiece of a fragrance, and I feel intoxicated every time I smell it. This is so masterfully done in my opinion. Now, when you sample this on paper, it could be a little bit cloying. It's absolutely a very sweet, sticky and decadent fragrance, but it develops a little bit different on the skin in my opinion, and you get more of the complex qualities come out. We have cognac up top, followed by oak, tonka bean and cinnamon in the mid, and then we have praline, vanilla and sandalwood in the base. But to me, this just smells like a warm, sticky apple and cinnamon pie that's come straight out of that oven, and I'm drinking cognac on the rocks. I think this is worth every little bit of the hype. I think some people perceive it a little bit differently. I put an apple note. I don't know quite why because it's not listed within the composition, but it's a fruity, boozy scent to my nose. And if you wear Angel Share, then you smell so very, very good. Next up, we have Gris Charnel by BDK. And this is another fragrance that I absolutely adore the scent profile of, but I don't reach for it that much myself. But I do think it's worth the hype. I absolutely love the newer Extrait version too. I only have a sample of it. I don't have a full bottle. But Gris Charnel is just, in my opinion, the perfect cool girl or cool guy scent. It has this sophisticated / understated vibe to it. The reason why I actually purchased Gris Charnel is I had this specific outfit. It was a white tweed blazer, leather pants and Doc Martens. And I just didn't feel like I had a fragrance in my collection to match that vibe. And I just felt like I needed something cool with a minimalistic vibe about it. And Gris Charnel was definitely that. I almost feel like it's a rainy day scent too. I probably wouldn't reach for this in warm weather. But this is cardamom, it's fig, it's black tea, it's iris, it's sandalwood. Very, very delicious. I mostly get the cardamom and the fig and then lots of sandalwood. Whenever I smell this, I'm like, I need to wear this more. Like I said, I don't know why I don't. I would probably reach for the extrait more than the EDP. However, if sandalwood's your vibe, if fig's your vibe, if cardamom's your vibe, and you also like a tea-based fragrance, then I would definitely recommend checking out Gris Charnel, because this is just such a classy fragrance. So yeah, BDK Gris Charnel. Next up, we have another complex vanilla, and I told you I love a complex vanilla fragrance. It's by Nishane and it is Annie. And this one gets a lot of hype. It's the most beautiful, spicy / uplifting vanilla. It's the most beautiful complex vanilla. It has so many different elements to it. It has blackcurrant, but it also has cardamom, it has bergamot, it has ginger. There's so many things going on within Annie. And it smells very luxurious, very rich. And this would just smell great on anyone, in my opinion. I'd likely wear this for more of an evening occasion / black tie, or within the fall and winter. See, now I'm smelling this, I'm like, why don't I reach for it more? It has amber, it has benzoin, it has musk, vanilla, patchouli. There's so much going on here. It's almost difficult to decipher all of the notes, but it is one of the more unusual vanillas within my collection. I pretty much love anything with a ginger note, which is what made this stand out to me at first, but it's much more than just being a ginger and vanilla fragrance. The blackcurrant comes through, the bergamot comes through, a teeny bit of rose, lots of cardamom. It's just rich and decadent, and I think it's well worth the hype. Next up, we have Commodity Milk, and this one I am guilty of hyping up too, but this one got a lot of love on TikTok, and I mean a lot of love, and also across YouTube, and I can absolutely see why, because I adore milk. This is the most perfect cozy fragrance. Think Netflix and chill, think cup of coffee by the fireplace. Oh, this is a cozy hug in a cashmere sweater. I'm roasting s'mores. Milk is good. In essence, it's a slightly lactonic marshmallowy scent with lots of woodiness. And I've always described it as roasting marshmallows over a fire, but it's not too smoky. If you want more of a smoky edge, then I would recommend checking out Milk Plus, because that has a lot more smoke to it, almost a little bit similar to Margiela's By the Fireplace, whereas Milk is a little bit more cozy, it's a little bit soft. You get that vanillic, marshmallowy, pillowy feeling from it, with a lactonic vibe, but not like milk as such. I know the name says milk, more like creamy, cozy marshmallow dessert, but then there's the smokiness, which is why I said s'mores. I think Milk is absolutely worth the hype. You should absolutely sample it if you like the sound of those notes. And you can get discovery sets from Commodity, plus you can buy each scent in 3 different scent spaces. So this is the middle version. You can get a personal version, which is a little bit lighter, and then you can get the plus version, which is stronger and more intense. I love all 3, to be quite honest with you, but I settled on Milk, the middle version. So well worth the hype, and one of my favorite fragrances within my collection. So I hope you liked my list of popular fragrances that are worth the hype. I probably could do another version of this, because there are so many fragrances out there that are hyped up, which I truly think are also worth the hype. Were there any fragrances in my list that stood out to you that you also think are worth the hype? Or maybe you think they're overhyped? Whatever it might be, let me know down in the comments. But what I want to know is, what popular fragrances do you think are worth the hype? That is something I really want to know, because I might not own them yet, so I'll go out of my way to research and sample them. Thank you so much for watching today. I would really appreciate if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, of course, only if you enjoyed the content, but I hope to see you all in a video to come. Thank you so much, and goodbye.